It is Gerard. It is Gerard. Yeah, so you think about that, some of these local teams here on YSN and our family that have a lot of eyes on this game. And there's a lot of people that'll say, okay, West Branch by 1 million. We've been hearing that. And quite frankly, I don't want to say I'm sick of it, but we know what happens, Donnie, whenever you look a little bit too far away from the opponent that's going to be 53 yards away from you on the other sideline.
Absolutely. And that actually happened twice this year to Salem. I mean, when Salem went into Alliance, they had that hiccup and a couple weeks ago as well. But it's one of those things where you just throw it all out. And I was one of those critics on Thursday that said it's an emphatic no, that Salem's not going to be able to get the job done, but anything can happen at home, in front of I'm sure it's going to be a raucous crowd. So we'll see what they bring tonight. Jeffrey, you've had your fair share of rivalries in the past. Talk to me about what's going through the players' heads as we approach game time.
Well, for Salem, it's all about just playing, right? You just got to do your job and do what you do well. Is control the clock and try to play really good defense. In West Branch, you know what? Just score. Just if you're anything for West Branch right now, you just got to tell your offense, let's just score for us. We stop them on defense and then go play West Branch football, right? That's the biggest. And Donnie said it. The biggest thing about a rivalry is it's wild, right? You don't know what will happen in a rivalry game. You don't know how the kids will react or anything like that.
The tail of the tape tells us that you've got a 2-loss Salem team taking on an undefeated West Branch team, but you look at the quarterbacks in this ball game, and to me, this might be the biggest showdown of the year here in Week 10 with these two quarterbacks. Donnie, does that get you excited?
Extremely excited. I mean, think about you have two elite style quarterbacks in the same league, in the same division, in the same region, playing on Week 10, and you can pretty much expect that scoreboard to be lit up pretty easily tonight.
Yeah, you got to check the bulbs tonight because they're going to blow them out by the fourth quarter. EB, Jackson Johnson, great kid on and off the field, exceptional in the pocket.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about him since before football even kicked off. I mean, we knew what he could do last year, and he kind of had a I don't even know what you want to call it, a coming to party. We started to see it, and everyone was like, that could be special. Like he has the intangibles. He's an athlete. He's smart. It helps that his dad's a head football coach here. So the IQ is there. What I want to see, and I think it's going to really help Salem, is if they start to spread the ball around. We know who Blaze X-Line is. Everyone knows who Blaze X-Line is. But I want to see who the unsung hero is. And you and I talked about this before coming, and you asked who my X factor was. Mine's Brock Young. And I want to see, different ways. You're going to work different ways to get Blaze the ball, but I want to see who's going to step up. It's a rival. It's big-time players make the big-time plays and these big-time games. And West Branch, they have something to prove here, too. They haven't won here since 2008.
Ooh. Wow.
So Salem just plays different when they're here at SeaVo Stadium, or, before that it would have been Riley Stadium. So both teams are going to come in. They're going to be ready. And I'm really curious. We know who the big names are. I want to see who the X factors are.
Now, interestingly enough, if you're wondering, the noise you're hearing behind our cameras, that's the West Branch buses. They are here. However, since 2:30, we've seen fans lining up and getting ready for tonight's game. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this on YSN Primetime Live.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently. enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to YSN Primetime Live. DJ Oakley with you, Jeff Bezos, Donnie Riccatelli, and Eric Bailey with you. Guys, before we talk more about this game here today, a lot on the line last night, Week 10, and some of these teams' seasons have concluded. Last night, we look at to me, one of the biggest surprises and upsets of the night, Austintown Fitch beating Warren G. Harding. Donnie, you and I talked about this. Yeah. You took Harding. You thought it was going to be, but the Falcons fly.
The Falcons fly, but you know what? Harding had a nice healthy lead on Austintown. Austintown battled all the way back and ended up winning pretty handily. But I'm telling you, athletes galore all over that field last night. That had to be an exciting atmosphere to be in last night for sure.
Ty was all about it. I mean, my guy didn't turn the volume off of 11 from the kickoff, so he was all amped up for that one. Fitch comes out with the victory. Here's another interesting one. Didn't go the way of the YSN school. Beaver Local gets taken down last night as they kind of go into hostile territory in West Virginia. Jeff, when you look at Beaver Local, they're a team that was on the rise up until last night. Can they bounce back from this going into Week 11?
Oh yeah, 100%. That Wheeling Central Catholic team was big up front. They really did own the line of scrimmage. And Beaver Local shot themselves in the foot a lot, but with penalties. They had a 75-yard touchdown run. They got called back for a hold, and they had another like 60-yard touchdown run and called back for a hold. It's just a little mental errors that Beaver Local happened last night that hurt them. And it wasn't like they were out of the game at all. It's just, those little mistakes that you have to firm up before next week.
A team that we've all had our eyes on all this year for several different reasons. Brookfield gets the win against champion EB. Surprising to you, or the beat goes on?
I think that's more the beat goes on. I mean, look at their losses. They're not even bad losses. Yeah. They're literally one play away from beating Springfield, and everyone knows what Springfield is right now. They're playing really well, and they're going to make a little bit of noise, moving postseason. I don't think there's anything that's shocking about them. They just play hard. They play hard-nosed football. They're well coached. Obviously, their coach surpassed 200 wins, so that's 202 last night or 203. So kudos to him. But they just play good, sound, fundamental football.
So you look at Brookfield; they're part of that D6. Well, I guess 5, 6, and 7 we'll have on Saturdays starting next week for $9.99. You can get all those games on the network. When you look at this, LeBray, you talk about the beat goes on. LeBray. They are tuned up and ready for Week 11. Jeff, you're shaking your head.
Well, I always say this, right? Like, what do you do for a kickoff? You have Aiden Stevens in the back. You have Trayvon Drake in the back. And then you have Devin Carter, the all-time leading rusher for LeBray. And then you go on offense. Who are you going to stop? Right. It's like South Range all over again, right? You have 4 different guys you can stop. But, if we stop Aiden Stevens, Drake's going to kill us. If you stop Drake, Aiden Stevens going to kill us. Well, if you stop both of them, Trayvon Drake's going to kill us. Like, that was the biggest thing in the playoff game last year when I did it with Billy Mack for the Brookfield game, not West Branch, but for the Brookfield game. Is just the fact that you don't know who you were going to stop. If you stop one of them, someone's going to kill you. And that's the biggest thing. Like, LeBray, biggest downfall, and Billy Mack will attest to this and will agree with me. The biggest thing for the Bray is how good they can play on defense.
Right.
If you can hold people to maybe 25, 20 points a game and let that offense roll, then LeBray has a chance. But if you give it any more than that, LeBray's in a hurdle is a kind of a hurt there because you got to get in a little mini shootout. I don't think they can do it.
Nobody's smiling bigger than the guy right next to you who said LeBray goes 9-1, Garrettsville Garfield 10-0. You nailed it, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, I knew when we were at Garrettsville, you could just tell when we were talking to the players and talking to the coach, just the discipline and how they were able to control things. And Billy Mack was so mad that I went against his Vikings, but I just knew I knew it was a matchup nightmare for them because of how Garrettsville always was able to dictate a game, and with their offense being so different from anybody else's, you don't really work on that week to week. So, I guess I'm a guru. I don't know.
A little bit, just a little bit. All right, Guru, let's get to you on this one. Canfield and Boardman.
Yeah.
As it looks right now, JoeIdle.com, Boardman misses out by 1/10 of a point to get in the playoffs at number 17. Talk to me about the heartbreak of Boardman after that game last night.
I tell you what, and hats off to Canfield. They played a really good game. And Brock is unbelievable. They tried to tackle him low, and it was almost impossible. Boardman did such a great job moving the ball in between the 20s yesterday. Defensively, they stepped up big time. Just a touchdown got called back on a hold, and then it was so weird because you felt like Boardman definitely outplayed Canfield last night, and they really did. I mean, it was crazy to see that Canfield only put up 13 points, and Boardman's played some really good football the last couple of weeks. I mean, that heartbreaking loss to Austintown Fitch on a game-ending field goal, the week before, and then 13-6 yesterday. I mean, you would have thought for sure Boardman was going to get in the end zone the way they were moving the ball and moving the sticks. Terrence Thomas had a phenomenal game. Sean O'Horo just ran his heart out. They just didn't give him enough touches, I don't think, yesterday. They had a lot of middle screens to Anthony Hightower where you get a guy like O'Horo catching that ball in the middle screen. He does a little bit more damage. Hightower, no knock on him. He's just not big enough to do it. And then they had some great plays with Cam Thompson as well. But hats off to Boardman's defense. They really showed up. They stepped up. They did a great job holding Canfield to 13. I mean, Canfield had annihilated Austintown Fitch 3 weeks ago. Everybody thought for sure Canfield was going to come in and just lay the hammer to Boardman, and for it to be a one possession game with a game tying touchdown call back on a hold. I mean,
yeah, watching that game, that hold that brought it back, because that was a 75-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
You could just tell it was almost deflating. Like at that point,
it really was.
Boardman, you could see the look on their face. They almost, actually, I think they outplayed Canfield, and they were just looking at, what do we got to do now?
Yeah.
What do we got to do now? And you have that it was a 4th down play at the end of the game. They need to pick up that first, and they come up short. You put it in your best players or best athletes' hands and see what happens.
Right.
I think any coach is going to do that.
Absolutely.
But it was just one of those things. We're going to take the officials out of it. Variable you can't control.
Yeah.
They were just looking for that. What do we got to do to get our break? They just really never got a break last night.
Never got a break last night.
All right. The next game we have, it's Columbiana and Lisbon. EB, this one hits home for you. The Clippers come out and win game 21-6. Talk to me about what you saw.
I guarantee Lisbon is going to get a victory.
Yeah, who said that?
Until you have to play Bob Spate.
What? What was that?
He's going to get in the stack eye, which he actually took kind of a little bit of a old school Lisbon Jim Salinas, and
tip of the cap, huh?
Look, great rivals and great battles between those two over the years, but he literally got in a stack eye, and it was, we're going to run left, we're going to run right. I really think the big thing that killed Lisbon, though, is that opening drive. They get down to the 2-yard line, and then they get a big holding call.
Yeah.
And that kind of took a lot of wind out of their sails. And next thing you know, you don't get any points out of that.
Yeah.
That kind of, I don't want to say it changed the game, but it did, because Columbiana comes down and scores. That's essentially a 14-point swing, or at least a 12-point swing right there. And I'm just having a little fun with the whole Lisbon Columbiana thing. I love a lot of those Lisbon kids. The whole administration, they treat me well. I like the little rivalry that it's become between Lisbon and Columbiana. It's fun, but Columbiana, like I said, they had a couple weeks off, and they really needed those weeks to get healthy, and that's been a big thing for them this whole year.
Crestview, Newton Falls. A lot of us picked Crestview in our picks earlier this week. I don't think anybody really knew that the Rebels were going to show up and show out the way they have. Week 1 Crestview, completely different than Week 10 Crestview.
Yep. Well, it just happens with it. See, it's like Canfield. I thought Canfield, when they played Dover, they were just really young.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Crestview when they played Salem. They're just really young. So you got to give them time to experience like the pace of the game and the varsity level and the fast and sideline to sideline. And I think really Crestview really like played really well as the season went on and beat some really good teams. And last night was one example, right? They really put it to a Newton Falls team that played a wing T offense, and you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a trap. You're going to get a cross block. You're going to get a pull and all these things from the front up front on the offensive line. But man, that Crestview team is scary. I would not want to play them for round 1 in the playoffs.
They're dangerous, and it looks like they might have a home game that they've jumped up high enough. So that could be dangerous.
How awesome is that?
Having that
Rebel
game
Stadium.
off, that drop that divisor, and we said it in the first couple of weeks. That's a team that kind of grew before our eyes.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
They were a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun to talk about all year long.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, just the growth. I mean, you want to talk about a team with growth. I mean, there's one other team in particular I'll bring up later, but the growth from Crestview has been tremendous.
East and Cheney, the City Series, one of the biggest rivalries. Unfortunately for East, it's been a tough year, and it got tougher last night when the Cowboys took things over early and often.
Yeah, they really did. What it ended up 40-8, I believe. Just a dominant. I mean, Cheney's got some dudes on the defensive line and offensive line, and they got a hell of a running back. So I mean, they really can do whatever they want to a less inferior team in East. And East has a really, really bright spot in that sophomore quarterback. So hopefully that kid stays healthy. They get some key pieces around him, because Youngstown East deserves to be back on the block too.
Listen, we talk about East Liverpool a lot, and we've thrown some shade in the direction of the Potters this year after that Beaver local game. But guys, I got to be honest with you, they're earning my respect again here at the end of the year, because it could have been real easy. Just throw in the towel.
Right.
Yeah.
But they rattle off 2 in a row. What is this young Potters team capable of doing in 2022?
Just playing good defense. I feel like that's the biggest key for them, is that they really firmed it on up on the defense side of the football and played good defense and played fast. And I always say, I made a joke like that's where they film Varsity Blues, but that's the story of Varsity Blues, right, man? They're just gritty.
Hey, spoiler alert. Some people haven't seen that movie yet.
Well, go ahead and watch it. But that's what
Were
I'm
you
saying.
12
now.
when it came out?
Yeah.
Hey, Billy.
I was not 12 when it came
I'm
out.
talking to teachers.
But like that's the thing though. Like I really feel like the Potters got better after that Beaver local game.
That's okay. They skinned his
fought.
cat. It turned out okay.
But they fought. They're a gritty team, man. You got it. That's what you want, and you get in next year. You're like, oh, we saw some grit. We saw some fight. They're pretty really good Edison team. They just played good teams all year. Like Beaver local was really good, man.
Oh, yeah.
They turned out to be, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
I think Liverpool started to find an identity those last couple weeks. And I'm sure I think they had some bumps and bruises that they had to fight through, and players just have to grow into their role. And I really think these past couple weeks they started to find a little bit of an identity.
All right, I'm going to say 2 teams, 1 matchup last night. Garfield, Liberty. My goodness, where did the Leopards come from?
Listen, and that's the team
I
I'm
knew
talking
it.
about.
Yeah.
As far as the second team was talking about growth, because that Liberty team, very, very young. He had a lot of athletes, new coach, bringing in a new system. The growth from that Liberty team it completely shocked me. If you would have told me that Liberty would have given Garrettsville Garfield their best game of the regular season, I would have called you the biggest liar on the planet. Yeah. But that ended up being the case last night.
So when you look at that team, it's a situation where right now, according to JoeIdle.com, they're on the outside looking in. They didn't make the playoffs if it is all according to JoeIdle.com, and our friend Joe Idle has been pretty spot on the entire year.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a good situation for them because they finished the game with 2 stellar opponents. They play in very much in both games, and now you've got the whole offseason to kind of bank on what are we going to do next year.
Right.
I think that's a playoff football team right there that didn't get in.
Yeah.
And then, they really put it to a Garfield team that is physical. Like Garfield is physical up front. They want to run the ball right at you. And that Liberty team next year, I hate to be whoever plays them because that quarterback is unbelievable. He's a game, he's a game changer. And Billy said it yesterday that as you get late in the year when you're a freshman, you're not really a freshman anymore. You're more of a sophomore. But when you get to a sophomore level and you're the way that you go Warriors, how you doing, man? But appreciate it. Cheers to you. But I'm gonna be honest, man. That Liberty team is they were tough last year and they lost their first round playoff game 16.
Those weren't Cleveland or
something
like that.
Yeah, they had to travel very far. But this team is just you want to show a team that you want to root for. That's a team you got to want to root for next year, and they're going to really dominate next year. I really feel it.
The foundation certainly in Liberty has been set this year in 2021. All right, guys, the next game I want to talk about, Gerard Niles. Anybody surprised about the outcome of that game? A lot of people were saying, hey, Niles might be a sneaky win here, but Gerard shows up and shows out and secures a spot in the playoffs.
I'm not necessarily shocked by it. Gerard was one of those teams in the NE8 that we were kind of like, they might be a dark horse. They might be an X factor. And they were outmatched against a South Range team, outmatched against a Hubbard team. But they have some playmakers. They have a good, pedigree of what football is at Gerard. So they're used to it. And you could see just kind of throughout the season, the progression, look, this might be a team you don't want to mess with too much. And I don't know what the playoffs are going to hold for them, but it's also a team you don't want to sleep on or tread lightly either.
Right. The West Branch fans continue to file in the SIBO Stadium here.
Sorry about that.
This guy, ADD guy, all over. So let's talk about, you brought it to my attention. We had a tornado warning.
Yeah.
So we got out of here on Thursday pretty quickly. Hubbard and South Range last night. Many people, and I'm talking a ton of people, surprised the outcome. Are you?
I'm not surprised at who won the game. I'm surprised at how dominant South Range was. I mean, we were talking when we were talking on Thursday that the over under, and we were like 50, and I'm like, oh no, that's way over. Well, South Range did their part to get that thing pushed over, but 34-0. I mean, my goodness, that was.
And the crazy part about all of it, if you were watching, and obviously you were working, but on the 5-yard line towards the end of the game, it was 1st and goal from the 5 on a turnover.
Yeah.
And South Range stood strong, and Hubbard just could not get in. It was just not their night.
They just refused to lose. They refused to give up anything on them.
You had a chance to talk to Coach Rock?
Yeah, I did a little bit. He really put it in game time and put him watching films and stuff like that today. But man, I really feel like the South Range team, it just came into themselves a little bit. I know I emailed Coach Igley and just told him how awesome a job that he's been doing. And I always will tell Coach that because he was he's my hero and one of the greatest dudes of all time. But they just tackled very, very well last night. They game tackled well. Like what I want a South Range team to do is from a former player standpoint. Man, they just really shut out like a really good Hubbard team. And to go into the playoffs like that and have that one team named the Hornets, I'm not going to say their name.
Starts with a K and ends with Ertland.
Yeah, Kirtland. You know what? Kirtland, you got to be scared going into playing against a really physical, fast team in the name like South Range. And I really do think South Range wins the region, and they beat Kirtland pretty soundly.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, I want
early,
that. Oh,
early
yeah.
Look-see.
No, not early.
Don't tell Yeagley that because I'm pretty sure he's just focused on 11.
I know, and that's what.
Hey,
and I
Rootstown.
want to ever think of anything different. That Coach will tell you 100%. Yeah, it was a great win last night, but we got to get better at this part of the game and that part of the game. And you know what? We did not score enough. I don't. Coach will say that 100%. I don't think we played good enough on the offensive side of the football. Even scored 34 points.
That defensive line, though, I mean, they were so quick off the ball. They closed those gaps before Hubbard could even, I know Hubbard switched to the wing T this year, but before they could even pull or do anything, they were there. And like Beto said, the flowing to the ball, everyone was there, and Coach Rock, like he said earlier, like he didn't even really have to do much.
He is probably the best defensive coordinator in the Mahone Valley as Coach Rock.
That's a lot. That's saying a lot.
But I do though. Like I really do think I know his dad. I know that family very well, but I know his dad, how well like he wants his son to have success, and then how like okay. Nice to see you. Again, my ADHD is killing me. I'm sorry. But like just to watch like how good he is and like to talk to him today a little bit. I played when he was a senior when I was a freshman in high school. And the way he prepared for a game is the way he prepares now. He's overly excited. He might have way too much energy, but I want that energy on the sidelines if I'm a South Range Raider fan and stuff like that going into like week 11 where you have to play. You have to get up a little bit to play a really good playoff team.
I don't know if you guys knew this. There were some championships on the line last night. The NE8, obviously, we talked about South Range bringing back their back-to-back unofficial NE8 championships. JFK, my goodness.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Blown away by this because I picked honestly, no knock on JFK. I thought Southeast was a much better opponent than. I mean, JFK laid a 35-0 haymaker on them, and Southeast is a very, very good football team. I mean, Southeast rolled all over Rootstown. Rootstown, you want to go back a little bit and talk about, Liberty, if they win that 14, if that scores flipped 14-6 in their favor, they're in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm shocked that JFK was able to put it on them as much as they did, but it just tells me that JFK is getting healthy.
Well, you know what it tells me? It is about JFK Vember here on the network, and 35-0 and taking home their championship of their conference. And again, the geese were flying last night because there was a bunch of goose eggs all over the network last night. That one, unfortunately, we didn't have, but it was one of them. Yeah. All right, another one. United with a big, big, big win over Southern. Southern showed up against Valley Christian and really planted their flag. But against United made them look civilian.
The United never lost control of that game. I don't even think Southern scored until late in the third, maybe early in fourth. Yeah. And even then, right away, United answered. Whoever's number was called, whatever play was called, it was unselfish. They didn't care. They had a goal. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see a United, Valley Christian game.
Yep.
No offense to Coach Hake. After watching United last night, I don't think it would have mattered.
It wouldn't have mattered.
You could be right. That's one of those we'll never know, though.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Now Valley gets to play that card.
Well, but United just showed up and took care of business.
They sure did.
Like it was a business trip, and you could tell they kind of took it personal.
Yep. They protected their home turf.
Yeah, they control it up front. Like that's where, like you see late in the season now, like when the weather gets kind of cold, the ball gets a little harder. Yeah, obviously.
Nice hoodie.
Nice hoodie. Hey, thanks, by the way.
Is that a medium?
That's just medium.
What color paint?
It's red, but it looks probably the clear right now. But no, just when the ball gets a little, like when it gets cold, the ball gets a little hard, and you can't throw it as well. The offensive line, and I've said this all year long, and you could call me crazy being a homer for the offensive line, the top point because I'm a big guy. Not me, right?
You weren't a wide receiver.
But no, it was not. But it all starts up front, and United really controlled that game up front, and they played it at their pace. Like we're gonna take as long as we want between plays. Go ahead, Valley. Go ahead, it's Southern local. Make your subs, and we're gonna be our guys. We're gonna put 6 on the line, and we're going to double team a couple of them, and we're going to get 4 yards of carry. And United did really, really, really good job of that last night, and they got out to a 21-0 lead. And when you can do that against a Southern local team that is big up front and fast, you make it change their whole game. Like you're gonna make them throw the football when they don't want to throw the football.
Well, and on top of that, they didn't let Southern get that big play.
Yeah,
like Southern's always had that big play. Well, they have good playmakers. They took it away from them.
Yeah, 100%.
Guys, we talked about JFK Vember, another team that does pretty well when it comes to November. The Springfield Fighting Tigers, and you want a little bit of a stat here, Jeffrey. In the last 7 games, 355-20, the Springfield Tigers have outscored their opponents in the MVAC. And last night, no different as they took care of Sebring and secured their spot home field in the playoffs. Bo Brungard, one last hurrah in the OHSAA playoffs, the party that we celebrate each and every November. Do you feel like Springfield has, I don't know, a chance or so?
He's going to turn into something else, something special. He's tasted it 2 years in a row, tasted defeat 2 years in a row. Man, third time's a charm. I don't know. They can go as deep as they want to go with Bo. And the fact that, one of those other goose eggs that was around, in week 10, it's crazy that teams are that good defensively to lay haymakers and 49-0. I mean, it had to be over early for Sebring, but my goodness, how good is South Range then?
You can call me.
And can I just
go ahead, bud?
I heard this morning South Range is one boy away from being D6.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
One boy.
By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there, and you could call me crazy if you're a Springfield fan.
You're crazy.
Yeah, great. The Springfield team is better than last year's Springfield team. I really think up front on the defense. Yeah, and you could call me crazy, but I could really say, this is what I'm going to say, right? Is that defensive line is better than last year's. They really hold up.
That's
really
saying
well.
something.
And that offensive line is more physical
So
than last year's.
let me ask you this: you named offensive line and defensive line. What about special teams?
Not good. Not as good because not good. Not as good. But I'm gonna still pick this Springfield team over last year's team. And if to play them head to head, I'm picking this team because I think there's just more.
Because I watched them against Jackson Milton, special teams got them 14 points.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the kicking game. It's not what it used to be. And this is where I'll agree with Betos. Last year, Springfield had better playmakers and athletes all around. I think this might be a better team, in general. There's 7 teams right now throwing a big party in the MVAC, and it's because Bo Brungard is finally done.
Yeah.
The reign of Bo is over, but
I don't
know if the
not
reign
yet. He's got 6 more weeks.
Well,
I really think that's going to be cool.
MVAC schools, they get rid of him. I'm not sure if the Springfield reign is over though.
I really want to see them play Lucas, the number 1 seed in the region,
too.
And I really want to see how they take that game as being like, all right, you beat us in the state championship game a couple years ago and really put it to us. Well, we're going to take offense to that because that Springfield team is mean, it's mad, and it's physical at the same time, and that is awesome for me.
All right, the last game we're going to talk about before we get back to this game is going to be Western Reserve at Rootstown. Western Reserve taking care of business again last night, but you look at this, Rootstown going to be coming to town to take on South Range if Joe Idle is right. Is this a great opportunity for the Raiders to kind of catch Rootstown and the Rovers and see what they're made of when they play a reserve team last night in Week 10?
If they didn't like reserve last night, they're not going to like South Range.
Well, this is the second time Rootstown has played South Range. South Range, the last time played Rootstown was at Rootstown, and South Range was a 6th seed. And I remember they beat them like 27-21. I think on that standpoint, I think that year.
Rain Man at the table.
Yeah, you didn't know this, but you want to know a wild stat for that? South Range went to the regional finals that year and lost to Smithsville probably about 28-14. I think that was the year. And Smithsville went on to win the state championship that year. But I really like if you're Rootstown right now, you're usually good. They're pretty good physical up front, but your Rootstown, you can't keep up against the greatest, the best, the second best team in the Mahoning Valley.
Spell Rootstown.
Roostowyn.
Oh,
he's back.
He's back.
Yeah.
He's back.
Roost.
Is that not it? Well, I don't care. They're going to lose anyway. So good luck, Rootstown. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Should bring probably a charter bus.
Careful here. Careful. That is going to do it for our review of last night's games. We will come back. We will talk about tonight's games. And there might be, I don't know, some kind of game going on here in Sebo Stadium in Salem. We'll be back right after this on YSN Primetime Live after this.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. YSN Primetime live from SEBO Stadium here in Salem, Ohio. A beautiful night for football. So if you don't have anything to do, maybe, just maybe, you should book your ticket out here to SEBO Stadium. You're going to see a ball game here, gentlemen. We saw a ball game earlier today. 1:30 kickoff featured Louisville and Lindsley in the West by God, Virginia, as you would say.
Love it.
And the Leopards getting win number 2 on the season. So finishing strong is Louisville, looking towards 2022. Again, I know we talked about it a little bit, but obviously from the obvious department and the redundant department, do you feel like there's something at the end of the season that you can build on as a coaching staff and the juniors and sophomores and freshmen and even the 8th graders to witness a win like that?
Yeah, it's momentum. You always want to carry momentum. You always want to finish, obviously, better than you started. And stuff like that in football just tells me you're starting to figure things out. And you start to see players come into their own. It's really just positive momentum going into the next year to, as your incoming freshmen come, that you can build off of something there. Build them into rules and just start to create a culture with it. Everyone's got to start somewhere. You don't become your South Ranges, your JFKs, these teams that are year in, year out phenomenal without, starting somewhere. Everyone started with something and they took that momentum to build off of it. And, you look at Louisville. They had a tough stretch. They had some big opponents too. It's not like they had an easy schedule by any means. So, to take a couple lickings here and there, and then you finish strong like they did, I think you can really build off of that.
Perfect segue, I think, into this next game. Ursuline and Cardinal Mooney tonight being played at Mineral Ridge. You've got an Ursuline team that is playoff bound, and you've got a Cardinal Mooney team that is just looking for something to hang their hat on this season. This is a game that's never a blowout. Does it change tonight?
It's not going to be a blowout tonight. Again, I really think that you have a team that, like Mooney does, they run the ball like crazy. I mean, that's their bread and butter. That chews up the clock. That chews up a lot of clock, and Ursuline doesn't like that. Ursuline likes to score. They like to score at will as many times as they possibly can. So, I mean, if you're Mooney, if you win the coin toss and you're Mooney, I'm taking the ball, instead of deferring to the second half because you want to run that clock.
Well, Brady Shannon's the best quarterback in Mahoney Valley, hands down.
Hands down.
Ursuline's the best team.
There's a guy named Bo Brungard out there.
I know, and you could, can you really?
You just did.
Yeah, I did, but
Here, let me call him over.
Okay.
Jackson Johnson.
Hey,
All right,
George,
Jackson Johnson is a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's not, but I'm
I'm
definitely going to pick I'm definitely going to pick Brady Shannon tonight. And that Ursuline team is just prepping themselves for the playoffs tonight a little bit, so their defense is going to get right. They're going to get
sipping on that Billy Mack Kool-Aid. Way too
a
much.
little bit.
You have to understand, Ursuline has absolutely zero to lose
Yeah.
tonight because they're not going to be 100% dialed in. I know it's rivalry, it's a holy war. You're supposed to get every team's best and everything else, but it's just a different situation, a different feel this year.
You're saying they're looking at week 11 already.
Absolutely.
If they get
Even
into
though it's against their rival in the holy war and all that fun stuff, they're not going to be 100% dialed in like they would be against an Austin Town Fitch or somebody on their level.
Well, yeah, they might not be 100% dialed in, but Mooney can't keep up.
Billy
And
Mack,
they can't keep up. I love Billy Mack, and I'm gonna ride and die with the real you called Ursuline, not United.
Give me that $50 Billy gave you last night to say Brady Shannon's the best quarterback. Get out of here. Sherwood.
I would pick Brady Shannon over anybody else to start my program off.
All right.
I mean, I love. I
The
love
words
all
of
the
Jeff
quarterbacks.
Bezos do not necessarily reflect the attitudes of your sports network or the Oakley Scott
Can I
Corporation.
get the second pick then?
Go ahead.
If he's taking the first pick.
Yeah, you're gonna get second
Snake
pick.
draft.
I'm gonna pick Brady. You got number 2.
Letonia at Wellsville. Wellsville just too much?
Wellsville's physical, man. They're they're a team that no one talks about, and it's wild to me because they're good downward towards East Liverpool is and Beaver Local is and everything like that, and Wheeling, West Virginia, pretty close to that. They're just physical. They're
pretty comfortable right now.
Yeah, I am. I am a little bit, but it's the atmosphere is awesome here, right? But it's just Wellsville is a team that no one talks about, and that's pretty. It's pretty a slap in the face to Wellsville. I really like this Wellsville team going into the playoffs and see what they can do.
All you had to do is say at Wellsville.
I mean, I agree with that. And Wellsville has some playmakers. I think unfortunately, they're overshadowed by a United, a Valley Christian, and a Southern. So in that conference, they're probably the 4th best team, but they have the talent and athleticism to really make some noise. And Letonia, what it took them 3 weeks to get started. They've been in and out. They could just never really get in a groove or really anything going. Wellsville, just too much. And I love Coach H. Julio's one of my favorite people ever. You know, if you have a Mount Rushmore of high school coaches, he's definitely up there. You know, you throw him and we have a plethora of them around here. But Wellsville is
Wait,
is
you're not going to pick one?
What's that?
You're not going to pick one?
No. I'll leave that to Betos. But you know, Wellsville, it's down by Beaver Local, Liverpool, close to West Virginia, maybe closer to.
Take me home, baby.
It's a little bit closer to the Florida Gulf. It's
Well, East Liverpool is where they fill varsity blues, and then Wellsville is where they wanted to fill varsity
West Virginia
blues.
has great golf courses, as we learned yesterday.
You didn't talk about my Blue Devils.
McDonald. You want to talk about McDonald?
Yes. Can we talk about ending the season on the right note?
Really?
6 seniors. That's a young team.
Pretty close game against a really.
They jumped out
good
on
Jackson
Milton
Milton
and hung on, and we predicted it.
That was
on
a
the
great
road.
game.
Great game.
Came down to
Well, it turned into a really good game. That game was kind of lopsided, but Jackson Milton really fought back, and Jackson Milton really lost to a pretty good Waterloo team the week before, and Waterloo obviously got shut down because of COVID, and COVID strikes again. I thought we beat COVID, didn't happen. So, but
46 minutes before the first Pat McAfee reference, you win.
But like that Jackson Milton team, it was coming off of 10 days no practice, right? And I really think that Waterloo game would have been different if they had 10 days of practice for that game. Because no offense to Waterloo, they didn't have a quarterback. And the one pass they threw, they got behind Jackson Milton, and Waterloo dominated. But that Jackson Milton team, if you have to really look at some team that looks to be kind of like a sneaker for next year, that's a team that you got to kind of like a sneaker. And you got to look into it.
We're going to roll with it. The final game, gentlemen, it's going to come as no surprise right here in Salem, Ohio. It is West Branch, and it is Salem, and it is going to be a war. Your thoughts on this one?
Let's save EB for last because he's got the most on the line here, I would say.
A little bit.
So,
Is that a Salem
You
jacket?
want me to go first?
Absolutely.
By the way, it's awesome here in Salem. Not gonna lie, it's very, very cool.
Get ready, Quakers.
Nice, cool weather. Yeah, not gonna cool down this West Branch
You
offense.
almost said West Virginia.
Yeah, almost West Virginia.
100% almost said West Virginia.
But it's not gonna cool down this West Branch offense that is just explosive. The highest, you said to me,
highest scoring team in the state.
yeah, and they're gonna be the highest scored team in the state tonight.
How many points they scored?
50.
50?
Easily.
A little 50 burger with cheese?
Easily. And Salem's going to score 30. I really think that Salem's going to score, but it's going to be a mini shootout, and that's what West Branch wants. And you know what? Warriors come out and play, and they get rolling into the playoffs, and then they got to play a really, really good team called Ursuline in the playoffs. West Branch wins big.
D-Ricks?
Listen, I mean, West Branch obviously is the machine that they've been all year, and Salem had a couple of hiccups, and I was very tough on Salem on Thursday at our show at South Range, and just because you shouldn't lose to an Alliance, and you shouldn't have 2 losses. Period. This should have been 9-0 versus 9-0 today. We would have had a great 9-0 versus 9-0 last night. Yeah, unfortunately, West Branch is just a well-oiled machine. But I don't think they're going to score 50 tonight. I think this is going to be one of those great, fantastic games where it could end up being a 2-score game at the most, and Salem's going to be ready for this. They're not gonna fall asleep at the wheel. They're going to be ready. They'll be ready to compete. They're not going to have West Branch come in and just embarrass them. You know what I mean? So I'm just looking forward to a fantastic game. I do give the edge to West Branch as
touchdown.
They've earned it. I would say a touchdown, maybe 10 points.
Are you being nice?
I'm being-
just because we're on camera right
I'm
now?
just loving the fact that this place is going to be electric.
Oh,
It's going to
it
be
will be.
exciting, and both teams are going to be very well prepared and ready to play.
When was the last time West Branch won here?
2008.
Yeah, it's about to be today. Easily.
EB?
The
I love you,
story
buddy.
writes itself. I mean, you had West Branch people here at 2:30.
Right.
You have RVs and people camped out across the stadium. Since we got here, it's West Branch scores often and almost at will. But if you're Salem, I think you got to spread the wealth a little bit. You got to get a couple takeaways. You got to get a couple takeaways, and you got to control the clock. But look, you had your 2 hiccups. This is a whole different story. This is week 10. This is West Branch. It's a rival. You get to write your own story now going into the postseason.
Yep.
So, I mean, say what you want.
Salem-
Records go out the window rivalry week.
Salem could jump potentially to number 2
Right.
with a win here.
Right.
And you look at this, and there's a lot on the line for them because they could potentially also slide all the way out of home field advantage.
That'd be terrible. Like, how devastating would that be if you lose tonight and you're Salem? The drop from hosting a playoff game, not to host a playoff game. Then you got to go travel somewhere, and then you're like,
Well, it's the same situation as last night with Hubbard.
Yeah.
Hubbard
Right.
could slide down to 9.
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous
But
situation.
that's the thing, though. That's tonight's that's not Salem's fault after tonight if they lose. That's Salem's fault for losing to Alliance.
Yep.
To slide all the way back
Yep.
down. But this is eerily similar to Canfield coming into Boardman. Canfield was supposed to absolutely destroy Boardman last night, and it was a 1-score game. It was a 7-point game. Listen, Salem's hearing it. Salem's hearing it from everybody that they're going to get crushed by West Branch.
They've heard it all week.
It's extra motivation, and guess what? When you're that juiced up coming out of the gate, anything can happen early and often.
See, what I love best about this is the fact that you're going to see it right here on YSN live and free for your viewing pleasure. Matt Mowry, Jared Niederheiser will have the game for you. Kickoff set for 7 p.m. tonight. Just about an hour away, boys.
You said what?
This.
You said free?
It's free.
FREE?
Thanks to our wonderful sponsors. Yes, Jeffrey.
Man,
it's
I
free.
love free things right now. I'm going to tell you.
Enjoy it this week because next week it's going to be $9.99.
$9.99. Sorry.
The extra
trying to
dollar
take it
goes.
out.
Sorry, extra dollar goes to my fun.
It's called
Buy
the
him a
Bezos
sweatshirt.
tax.
Extra
tonight-
large is a little more expensive.
Easy, man.
Tonight, it's going to be an unbelievable matchup. Again, Donnie, I think you said it best. It's West Branch beating everybody that's been put in front of them
Right.
and trying to finish off a perfect season.
Right.
It's Salem on the other side trying to resurrect their season and get some home field advantage right here at SEBO Stadium. It is going to be good, and it's going to be all for you and all for free right here on ysnlive.com. So on behalf of Jeffrey Bezos, Donnie Riccatelli, and Eric Bailey, and of course our producer, Mr. Quinn Pushkar, my name is DJ Oakley. Enjoy the games tonight. We appreciate you. Get out to a ball game. So long, everybody.
See you, everyone.